Okay, let's get started on this skirt. I'm going to show you how to do the top of the skirt first. If you want to, what you can do is put a nice little design in the front. That would be this piece right here. This is all there is to the front of the skirt. That's the piece. So what I did is I took I thought it would be cute to have a couple of these pumpkins in the front and maybe one of these little, I'm making a Halloween one, so I thought it'd be cute to use that as my design. I already did, I only had a little strip of this fabric. I had very little of it. So I already did one piece of the skirt in this. And if you've ever sewn on rickrack, rickrack has to be sewn in two lines of sewing. The reason you sew it on like this is because if you just do one seam right down the center, when you wash it, it's going to fold over. All these little rickrack pieces are going to fold over. So you really do want to do 2 rows of stitching, and you just want to be able to catch a couple stitches in the top and the bottom of each rickrack. What I did was I turned this under 1/4 of an inch, another 1/4 of an inch, and then I was able to do my hem at the same time I was able to do that bottom row of stitching on the zigzag, on the rickrack. Another thing you should do on this rickrack is before you sew this seam, you should insert that rickrack in the seam, and the reason you should do that is because this rickrack, let me see if I have a piece here, it just shreds like crazy. I don't know if you've ever worked with a rickrack, but it's like braid, and it actually really ravels badly. So you do want to insert that edging into your seam and finish it off, so that when you do have that, you won't have any open overlap on there. You can fold it under and use like fray check or something so it won't come apart, but the easiest thing to do is just sew it into your seam so you don't even have to worry about it. Okay, so that was one row. Okay, so that's the first piece of your skirt is going to be this right here. Okay, the second part of your skirt is going to look like this. And because I didn't have enough of this fabric for the front and the back, I'm going to go ahead and use this piece of candy corn fabric as the back of the skirt, this part right here. And then I've got a line here for your elastic, because we're going to insert elastic on the back, just like you do on a pair of pants. So that's your whole top of your skirt, the back with the elastic, the front with the waistband. So to coordinate everything, I'm going to make my waistband out of the candy corn so the front and the back will work. But anyway, okay, let's go ahead and get started. Here's that pink rickrack I did on this one, and I did not insert it in the seam, and look at the mess I made. So that's one of the reasons why you do want to get that rickrack into the seam. Okay, so get your iron out. You're going to need the American Girl's waist are about 12 inches. The Journey Girl's waist are 11 inches. They all run between 11 and 12 inches, most of the 18-inch dolls. So your front piece of your waistband here is 6 inches without the seam allowance, 1/4 inch seam on each side. You're looking at about 5 inches. And then the back without the elastic is going to be around 7 inches. So you're looking at about probably a 5-inch piece of elastic. So we'll just go ahead and say at least 5 inches of elastic. You're going to need some 1/4 inch elastic. Okay, so my iron is heating up. So what I'm going to do for my first step is I'm going to turn this under a 1/4 of an inch and then a 1/2 of an inch so I can make my casing for my elastic. So let's see. You seeing what I'm seeing? Okay, let me move over a little bit. Okay, so I'm just ironing it flat, and I'm going to turn this under. Where are you at? Okay, I should line my camera up better. Okay, so here's my 1/4 inch turn under. I have a little bit of I put a little bit of a bow on that. I don't know if you can see, it's not much, but it's just a tiny little bow on the back piece. And this piece is 7.5 by 3 3/8 with a little bow in it. Okay, so now I've got my 1/4 inch folded down. Now I'm going to fold it down the length of my elastic. So I don't know. Let's see if I have should get my a 1/2 inch, almost exactly a 1/2 inch. So go ahead and press that closed. So what I'm doing on these little skirts is I'm just using the color of whatever my kit is. If my kit is that aqua green, I'm going to use aqua green thread. My kit was pink, so I used pink thread, regardless of what color my fabric was. So I got that down 1/4 inch, so I'm just going to seam it now. So let me move that over. Get this out of the way. Okay. So I'm using my regular thread, dual duty thread. I'm using a regular universal needle. You can go ahead and pin these. Let me this out. I tried to put the camera on the other side, and it just didn't work out. I kept shaking it, so I put it on this side thinking I could get a better angle going. Let me see if I can bring it around a little bit. Okay, nice and wide over here. Is that better? Not much, but we'll try it. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to sew right on that seam. Got too big of a stitch here. Okay, so I've done that. Cut your threads. And we're going to get our elastic out. And you can either use a elastic turner, or you can use, let me get up and get around here. We're only going to finish off one edge of the elastic, and because we want to try it on our doll first, because it depends on your thickness of your fabric and what else you're doing as to how tight you want that waistband to be. Because if you're using a real heavy fabric, you're going to want a looser elastic. I gotta say though, on this skirt, if you use really heavy fabrics and not cotton or something like that, skirt's going to be very heavy to wear. I mean, very heavy on the doll. I mean, she won't care, but if you're making the same pattern for your daughter or somebody like that, they're not going to be happy if the thing weighs a ton. Okay, so let's just secure one side. Do it less than a 1/4 inch, because that's what your seam is going to be. Okay, so we secured the elastic on one side, and this is going to be the back of the skirt. So we're just going to make that the back of the skirt. So we're probably going to need about maybe 5 inches of elastic after we get it all put together, but let's not do that until we do the front of the skirt. Okay, so for the front of the skirt, I'm going to take, here's the front of my skirt. I'm going to take just a piece of fabric. I use this one. You need at least 1.5 inches by 6.5 inches. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put this on the skirt. You want to line it up this way, even though there's a little bit of a bow in the front of the skirt, because if you line that up, the waistband will stand up straight. So go ahead and pin that in. Let me turn my iron back on, because I'm gonna push that to the front. Okay, so then bend that a little bit and line that up. Okay, so same thing on here, just sew 1/4 of an inch all the way across on the waistband. If you ever watch the making the pants video, it's the same exact thing. Okay, so once you have that, we are ready to trim our edges. So we've got the iron going, so just go ahead and press. I still have another seam. Press your seam up, press this up, and push your waistband, let me get rid of this, push your waistband to the top of the skirt. So just lay it down and press it up. Okay. Oh, I didn't even have it on. Okay. So now at this point what we could do is we can just even these edges out, because we're not going to need all this. We just did it so we had enough. But you know, once you start making these things, you're going to know exactly how much waistband you're going to need on these. But you might as well just, you know, because you can make these any size you want, depending on how big your doll is, or if you're even going to make them for your daughter or whatever. So it's very simple pattern. Okay, so now that we've got that, we're going to take one side, the side that we secured the elastic in, and we're going to line this seam up with the seam right here. So line those two up. And if you have a little bit extra on the bottom, that could be I just turn this under a little bit too much. But it doesn't matter, because you could just, this is such an easy pattern. Just line it up and we'll trim it down to where it should be. Okay, so let's go ahead and pin that. And make sure you get your elastic over. And let's just put a, see, I'm off on that. No worries. We'll just cut it down. It's such a simple pattern. Okay, so just go ahead and put a seam on there, 1/4 of an inch. Okay, so that's that. Okay, cut your seams off. Okay, so that's one side of the skirt, and this is going to be your waistband. We're going to fold over 1/2 an inch and then 1/2 an inch like that, and that will be the waistband going across the front of the skirt. Okay, so now before we go any further, go ahead and get a safety pin. Let's see where my safety pins are. Okay, so let's put a pin on this, what we think we need to do. So we already know our front's about 5, so let's make the back about 5 inches across. And then put a safety pin in it. The reason we're doing that is because we want to hold the elastic so we don't lose the elastic. Okay, so turn it around and put a pin in it. You can do it in the front, it's okay. So put a pin in it 1/4 of an inch where a pin would be. Line that up. Put a pin 1/4 inch in. Okay, so now what we want to do is we want to try it on our doll. Why are we doing that? Because we're doing a lot of work and there's no sense making our waistband too big if it's not going to fit the doll properly. So let me get Meredith. I'm making this outfit for Meredith. So let me grab her. And let's try her on. Try it on. Okay, so that was, make sure that there's a nice snug fit in the back, because she is going to have a lot of weight. There's going to be a lot of weight on all the different layers that are going to be added to the back. So make sure it has a nice fit to it. Okay, I think that's pretty good. Okay, so we'll take that off and we will secure that side of the elastic and cut it off. Okay, so that was good. So we will secure it less than 1/4 inch from the edge. And then cut it off. Okay, we can remove our safety pin now because it won't go anywhere because we've sewed in. Okay. So now on this side of the skirt, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to line this up with this seam right here. We're going to push all our seams up to the top when we sew it. So line that up with that seam, and same thing on this side. I have that little bit off. Okay, so just put a pin in it. And so 1/4 inch from the edge up to the top of the elastic. Okay, that is the front part, that is the top part of our skirt. Now what I'm going to do is I'm not going to trim all the way across. I'm just going to even that out. It's not going to be a big problem. So we're just going to even that out a little bit. It's not going to change the skirt. If you look on the back, if it looks a little off, by the time you get all your layers on, you'll never tell the difference. Okay, so that was the both sides of our skirt. So now we're going to turn this under, and we are going to finish off these seams. I'm going to show you how to use a overlocking stitch, because we're going to overlock this and trim these down so it looks nice. That's what I did. I didn't even trim them down. So let's just switch our pressure foot to a overlock stitch, and I'll show you how to make your seams look nice. So let me see if I can find my foot. Okay, it's back here. Okay, this is an overlock foot. This is a G foot, and basically that's the one that has the bar down the center with a little bar here that you lean your fabric up against. If you go to your machine, if you have a digital machine, let me see if you can get a better view of this. I don't know why it's so dark in here today. If you can get a better view of this machine, it's so dark, the camera, I don't know why. But anyway, once you moved your stitches, you'll see a little foot here, and underneath it'll tell you what foot to use as you move your digits. I'm going to use a 6, which is this stitch right here. I don't know if you can see it or not. It must be the blinds. Let me see if I can shut them down a little bit. Okay, better. That's it. Okay, so on a digital machine, you'll see underneath here, there's a foot in the middle, and every time you move your design to a different stitch technique, it'll tell you what foot to use. So we're in J, and then once we get up here, it moves to G. So with my G foot, I can do 6, 7, 8, R, yeah. Okay, well right here I've got 6 and 7 for an overlock stitch. So I'm going to use the 6. It'll automatically set. So go ahead and remove your pressure foot, with the release mechanism on the back. Put your G foot in. Okay, so your G foot is in. Okay, let me see if I got the camera back in the right location. Okay, let's see if I can get a little bit closer. Okay, now you're seeing light. Let me try the other way. Still bad. Okay, well, I'll just try my best and see what's going on. That's why I tried to record from the opposite side, but you can still see what's going on here. Okay, so what I've got here is my 2 seams. So I'm going to overlock, but I'm just going to overlock up to the elastic. I'm not going to sew the part of the waistband. So what you do is you just line this up and go ahead and sew. And press your fabric up against that foot. Okay, now to secure it, just hit your backspace a couple times and it'll sew up and down a couple times. So when you pull this off of your machine, pull back because you're on top of on that bar in the middle. I don't know if you can see that or not, but there's that overlock stitch. I'm going to use that a lot on the skirt. The skirt raveled so badly. I had to overlock each one of these layers. I overlocked them and then I even zigzagged them because they were such a ravelly fabric. This cotton's not as bad as this thrift store fabric was, but it still ravels a little bit. Okay, so next thing you want to do is you want to secure your waistband. I like doing mine by hand. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to push all my threads to the middle. I'm going to fold this down, and then I'm going to trim it down if I have to, and then put a pin in it. Well, you can get a pin in it. Okay, so go all the way to the other side and do the same thing. Press your seams in, fold it down. If you have too much, trim it, and then line it right up against that other piece. I did the same thing on the pants, so if you saw the pant video, we're doing the same thing because it's almost the same pattern. Okay, so all the way across, fold it down. You can iron it if it'll be better for you. And then just, you can either use your sewing machine or sew it by hand. I prefer these waistbands to be sewed by hand because I like that nice clean look in the front. But if you want to sew it by machine, that's fine too. It's whatever you prefer doing. Okay, so basically that's it. I'm going to whip stitch that closed, and that's going to be the top of your skirt. Okay, we just did the whole thing all the way around here. Okay, so I'm going to have to recharge my battery on my camera. So once when I come back, we'll start the layers. Okay.